softness of Charmin Ultra Soft or the superior strength and absorbency of Charmin Ultra Strong. Either way, you can't go wrong.
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome into WGNS, the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herzer, founder and president of First Shot Foundation. I'm here with a young man that I've known a long, long time when he was a little camper at UNC Asheville. But now our head coach at MTSU, Nick McDevitt. Welcome in.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
We were just talking about catching up a little bit with your kids. They're growing up fast, Nick. They were, you know, it's how quickly have they grown. And it's fun to be a part of their lives, and I want to thank you for that.
Absolutely. They are growing up really fast. We moved over here right when our daughter, our youngest, was being born, and now you turn around and Cooper will be 10 here in a couple weeks, and Katie's now 6, and they're both at VBS this morning, and Katie will be at cheer camp this afternoon. Coop's coming over to our team camp and watching some high school basketball games this afternoon, but he really has enjoyed being a part of your program at First Shot, whether it's your one-day day camps or your league as well. He's really enjoyed being a part of what you do.
Well, thank you for being a part of it. But, Nick, let's kind of talk about the state of college athletics. It's so like I don't recognize it, but I've been out so long I shouldn't recognize it.
There's some people that are in it every day that still don't recognize it. It's changing quickly, day by day, week by week.
So with that, the changes, what's the most notable change coming that you think's going to affect it, and how?
Yeah, you're trying to figure that out. I think everybody's trying to stay kind of at one step ahead, but you don't really know what that looks like or what that might be. You're trying to anticipate changes, but when you think about the ability for players to earn money now, which I think is a good thing, but how they're able to do that, the manner in which they're able to do that continues to change. At one point, you're talking about collectives, you're talking about NILs. Now you're able to, in some cases, pay them from inside the doors. The own athletic department is able to pay them as well. So you think about that. You think about the ability to transfer from school to school and play right away, be immediately eligible. You look at just conferences, so to say, or schools, I should say, are able to so-called transfer leagues. You talk about kids transferring, but schools are transferring. They're moving from one place to the next. So when you talk about media rights dollars are starting to change, college football playoff format changing. There's a lot of change in college athletics right now. And fortunately, we've got administrators that are aware of it. They're in the know. They're in circles to where they can anticipate those kind of changes and some of the things that we need to do differently in order to stay ahead of the game. Chris Massaro and Dr. McPhee are up to speed on what those changes look like. And fortunately, they've been on boards and committees with they're in the know, and the people that they run with are also in the know. So we're fortunate to have those folks on our campus to help us navigate these new waters.
Are there going to be unions in college sports? Man,
I don't know. I know there's a lot of folks that don't really want that. You think about all the ramifications that presents, and all of a sudden you add a whole lot of people to your official payroll. What does it mean, or what does it look like when a young man or a young woman has to go to the training room? Is that something is that like a doctor's visit? If they're not participating, is that sick leave? Or do they get workman's comp? What are those ramifications? You're trying to add that many people to your official your insurance, and how does all that factor in? And there's a lot of complications that go along with that.
Next question. Do you see the NCAA as it is now existing in 3 to 5 years?
No, not as it is now. Not as it is now. You know, I think it is a good thing that the elite athletes, which a lot are at this level and above, are able to benefit from what they do, what they bring, the notoriety they bring to their town, their community, their city, their university, the athletic department. But because of that, you know, it's hard to say that they're amateurs. You know, you talk about the NCAA. One of those A's stands for an amateur association. And, you know, right now it's just because they're able to earn dollars, though, doesn't mean that the folks involved in college athletics or the athletes themselves still aren't concerned about their education and wanting to get a degree. You know, I think there is a lot of talk, and I understand that about that they're just interested in money. And maybe I would say that's true with some out there. But I can speak for those on our campus that, yes, they are able to benefit legally now with being compensated. But at the same time, you do have guys that are interested in graduating from college. We've got now, after here in a couple of weeks, we'll be at either 19 or 20 consecutive years where all the seniors that have played basketball at Middle Tennessee have earned their college degree. And so, yes, they are being compensated now, but they're also getting degrees as well.
That's a fine balance. It's a different balance than what you had when you started your head coaching career. How do you balance them telling someone that's making money that they have to get up and go to class?
Yeah, and in some places they're making a whole lot more money than the person telling them to get up and go to class. You just hope that you're able to teach them the right values that will be sustainable for them after they leave your program. Whether that's they left your program after a couple of years and transferred somewhere else, or whether they graduated. You hope that you've taught them the right lessons that will not just help them while they're with you play, be productive, but also once they leave that they understand, you know, the importance of being on time and being accountable, being responsible, getting your job done, doing it the right way, how to work within a team, how to, be an employer, hopefully, but also be an employee. You know, sometimes you're the one that's, driving the ship. Sometimes you've got to be the person that just helps keep that ship going in the right direction. So you hope that you're able to instill some of those things in a short amount of time. You know, people talk about the relationship aspect now. Perhaps you're going to have a lot of athletes that you don't form as deep of a relationship with because the days of having somebody for 4 or 5 years are going to be very, very few and far between. Used to, that was the norm. You know, you had guys you'd kind of project, you know, what you hope this sophomore looks like when he's a junior and what he might look like as a senior. Now you're just kind of, managing. It's more roster management. It's year to year. So you may have guys, most of the players on your team, you're going to have for 12 or 24 months. So you may not know all the ins and outs of that young man's life from the time he was born and whose grandparents are and who all his siblings and his first dog and all that kind of stuff that you used to know about every player on your roster. But you will get to know more people. You know, there will be you will form a lot of relationships based on the current format of college athletics.
With this all being said, the new way of that they all can make money, I think financial literacy becomes hugely important. And how can you incorporate that at MTSU, or have you, and how have you done that?
Yeah, we've actually had like financial advisors come in and speak to our team, you know, to talk to them about the tax implications of what they are making. You know, the to understand that, you know, what you get here in the state of Tennessee may be different than what your buddies may be saying they're having to do in a different state because they have state income tax. You know, what does that number look like? If you're on this NIL between this amount and this amount, here, this is generally speaking what you're going to owe next spring. If you're on this kind of a figure, this is what this means. And then trying to talk to them about that's different if one of you has a, quote, NIL agent. You're going to have to
pay the agent.
You got to pay the agent. And what that looks like for them once they become professionals. If you play overseas, that may be that here is your income. Here's what your money-making power looks like. If you play elsewhere, perhaps here in the United States, here's what your federal income tax could look like. Here's what your state income tax could look like. Be careful with, the amount of money you have to pay, agents and different agents from different, for different reasons, because some have an agent that helps negotiate their salary, and then you'll have others that it's a different agent, an agency that help negotiate your advertisement, your media rights stuff. So you can stretch you can be making a lot of dollars, but all of a sudden there's a lot going out the door as well. So financial literacy and understanding the amount of money you're making, but also what your bills look like is really important, because for some elite athletes in college, it may be the most money they make doing what they're doing. They'll take a pay cut going from playing college athletics to the professional ranks, depending on where they play. So to make sure that they're not wasteful in the what they're getting right now is important.
Nick, and just looking at, we know college football drives this, and the realignments that have gone on. It's almost now like you have not Power 5, but you have a Power 4 in football. But in basketball, there's other leagues that are very, very, very good.
Yep.
Mountain West, Big East, Atlantic 10, right? Always having multiple teams. How does it going to change the dynamics of college basketball?
Yeah, that's kind of where everybody's trying to figure out where it's going. Will there be a difference down the road in you may have a school that plays football in this league but plays all their other sports in a different league.
But that's kind of already happening.
Right.
I mean, you got Dallas Baptist playing baseball in Conference USA.
You got Notre Dame that's independent in football but plays everything else in the ACC. But does that become more widespread? You think about you have to travel your football team because of just sheer numbers on big charter planes. But you think about the Big Ten. You've got Southern Cal is traveling to Rutgers in a lot of sports other than just football. So getting your teams back and forth, your Olympic sports. You think about your baseball teams, your softball, basketballs, track, tennis, everything. Because football is kind of the driver, do you see that starting to happen more and more? I know some leagues are talking about looking at having some minor sports be kind of a pilot program to play all games regionally, even against other leagues. Because right now you've got comparable leagues that have teams that are crisscrossing each other in the air, going from the East Coast to the West Coast, but teams that are comparable to them are right down the road, an hour or so away, and they never play each other. But you're in a league with somebody that's 1,500 miles away. And that's different if you're UCLA and you're traveling to Penn State than if you're, some of the rest of us that are trying to figure out how to navigate these new waters, but are trying to figure out ways to be able to make that make sense when it comes to looking at the payroll.
I mean, is it going to become like golf where they go just to tournament sites and they'll play 4 or 5 teams in a weekend, or 2 or 3 teams in a weekend? I mean, none of us really know what's going to happen. And you're right, they're going to have to kind of like just gamble a little bit and try some of these new ways, because revenue is a big deal for colleges Middle Tennessee state size.
That's right. Revenue is big, but also at the same time, you think about you're trying to figure out a way to, right now, if the dollars that are coming in the door remain the same, you've got a big problem, because the amounts to feed and the money going out the door has grown substantially. And that's the issue. So how do you figure out, particularly in a league like Conference USA or the American or the Atlantic 10, where, like, for instance, we are next year adding Delaware and Missouri State. So we have conference games against somebody that's in New Mexico and somebody in Delaware. And so you're traveling across the country. So how do we figure out ways to cut some of those travel costs down in order to make some adjustments elsewhere, whether it's facilities or whether it's NIL dollars or what have you? The amount of money that you need in order to keep up that goes out the door has risen. And so you've got to find more ways to have some coming in, or figure out ways to spend your money more wisely.
Well, again, Nick, it's kind of crazy the 6 years you've been here, right?
Yeah, it's changed rapidly. I mean, you think about just several years ago, the impact that transfers can make and have on your team. You bring somebody in and they've got a year in residency. They got to sit out. You kind of know, you get to see them for a year. And so you got a good feel going into the following season what that young man's going to be able to do for you. Now, about half of your roster are new players. In some cases, you've never seen them live. You've seen them on film, and you've seen them play for other teams, so you've got a decent idea based on their productivity in a certain league. But because of that, now you see really big swings. You can see some teams be really good one year and not so good the next year, and vice versa. Because this past year there were over 2,100 Division I transfers
in basketball.
2,100 Division I transfers, and there's 363 teams. So you start doing the math, and you're talking about close to right at 6 per school. Well, if you have 1 or 2 others that graduate, and you have on average about 5 or 6 that transfer, you're talking about over half of your roster is new year in and year out, and those guys can play immediately. Whether it's a transfer, a JUCO transfer, a high school player, all those guys are eligible to play. So half of your roster, year in and year out, will be new faces on average.
So, but you look at it now, the summer becomes really important. Where maybe in the past it was a way to continue to grow them individually. Now you have to really start thinking about team chemistry in the middle of the summer, not in your fall camp.
You got it, because you've got so many new faces. You're trying to figure out who can do what very quickly. You're starting to develop, as you said, you've got to start developing team chemistry, because in the old days, about 10 of your players were returners, and you're trying to figure out how to integrate the 3 new guys. Now it's kind of the opposite. You've got about 7 or 8 new guys, and you're trying to figure out how to have these 5 returners, and in most cases, 3 or 4 of those 5, they're going to be in new roles. And then you've got 7 or 8 new players. So you're going to have, generally speaking, a new team year in and year out. And so to be really strongly connected to or married to a specific or particular way to play is hard to do unless you're an elite, meaning like you can go get exactly what you want year in and year out with your facilities, your location, your NIL dollars, your ability to play these guys, your national exposure, etc. If you're not one of those guys, you've got to be willing, in my opinion, to be able to take the best players and then kind of figure out how to play with them. Hopefully that is the same way that you like, the way you like to play year in and year out. Obviously, our fans have been able to see us over the last several years. We like to play up tempo, like to play fast, like to press, like interchangeable parts. But in some cases, you're going to lose those guys year in and year out. And so you want to replace those kind of guys with similar players. But if you're not, you've got to be able to kind of adjust. And that's really the name of the game right now in college basketball.
Well, we're going to take a break right here and be right back with Coach Nick McDevitt.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
The day starts early.
Loaded the sweet corn, the potatoes.
Just before sunrise.
Dad got the fresh cut bacon on there.
Farmers throughout Middle Tennessee prepare their load.
All right, guys, load them up.
Of what they're bringing to the farmers market.
Sounds like we're good to go.
The Rutherford County Farmers Market, a producer-only farmers market at the Rutherford County Lane Agri Park in Murfreesboro.
I'm so glad you guys are back.
We enjoy meeting our customers.
My daughter loves the sweet potatoes.
Well, thank you.
The Rutherford County Farmers Market open Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 to noon at the Lane Agri Park on John R. Rice Boulevard.
At Middle Point, we want to be part of the solution. That's why we're making significant investments in proactively enhancing our facilities to integrate sustainable solutions.
Mike Klassen with Middle Point Landfill.
We invite you to learn more about us at middlepointlandfill.com.
Middle Point Landfill is an environmentally safe, economical, and reliable solution for solid waste for Rutherford County.
For public services, we are sustainability in action.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy one house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Del's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2023. Save 60%. Code 2023. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Adams Place has been a wonderful place. I'm Greg Shannon. Our grandkids live in Bradyville, so we wanted to get closer.
Greg, what do you like most about Adams Place?
Well, the people are amazing, both the staff and, of course, the residents. Everybody we've met so far is just unbelievably nice, just trying to make us feel welcome, you know.
I'm Terry Deal. Call me for more information about Adams Place, located at 1927 Memorial Boulevard, across from Walmart.
Call Adams Place today, 615-904-9111.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
The City of Murfreesboro is partnering with American Job Center to bring you an incredible career fair with lots of opportunities. Join us 9 to 1 June 14th and take the plunge into something different. The June 14th Career Fair on the Civic Plaza in front of Murfreesboro City Hall, Vine and South Church Street.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits, assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
Let's check those WGNS Good Neighbor events. The Red Cross is still critically low on blood. Phone the Red Cross and set up an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. Several farmers markets to take advantage of. A produce-only farmers market Tuesday and Friday mornings from 7 until noon over at the Lane Agri Park. That's on the John R. Rice Boulevard, just down from Sam's and next to Paws. There's another farmers market Saturday mornings from 8 until noon, all around the Rutherford County Courthouse. Our hats off to Main Street, Murfreesboro for that one, Saturday mornings at the courthouse. And at the same time, Saturday mornings from 8 until noon, there's a farmers market at the train depot in Smyrna. Some great opportunities for some farm fresh food. The Parkinson Support Group meets next week. On Friday of next week, 10 o'clock, over at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. That's Friday the 21st. And Juneteenth is this Saturday from 10 until 4 over at Bradley Academy Museum and Cultural Center. And those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Mostly sunny skies here this afternoon with a high in the mid-80s. Tonight, mostly clear, low near 54. By Tuesday, sunshine, a high around 80 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 66.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back in to WGNS, the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herzer, founder and president of First Shot. And welcome back in head coach Nick McDevitt and Nick, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. We've talked about your roster off air a little bit. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room and how he, Cam Weston, and his health from the torn ACL last year.
Yeah, it's doing well. He is just over 6 months removed from his surgeries, about 7 months removed from the injury. And his rehab is going well. He's ahead of pace, or at least on pace, for where our trainer, Reese Shivers, wants him and wanted him. So his rehab's going well. He's an active participant in our workouts. We started our summer workouts last Monday, and he's not cleared for contact yet, but he is doing almost everything that everybody else is doing. Maybe a half step slower than everybody else, a little careful. Reese is watching him closely, but this time of year we don't put our guys in full contact stuff every day anyway. But he's doing well. Obviously, that was a big blow to our team last year. He's a huge piece for our team. I think anytime you lose your best player, that hurts. But
and probably the MVP of the league, or could have been.
Could have been. You know, a lot of people thought he was for sure an all-conference player. Several thought he was a first-team all-conference player, and he's our point guard. You know, it's hard when you lose your point guard. That's the guy that stirs the drink, makes the engine go, all the things that you hear. It's like in football, you can't lose your quarterback, you know, and when the quarterback is also the best player, you got trouble. You know, you look at what with the Jets last year, you lose Brett Favre, but you lose Aaron Rodgers, and you know, it's tough to replace that. And that doesn't mean the next guy's not a good player, but it just means you're shifting some guys around, and that's going to be important for this year's group. I thought Justin Porter handled the move really, really well. He obviously was our leading scorer last year, was an all-conference player, all-tournament team guy as well. But sliding over from being predominantly a 2 to your all-time point guard was just something he had never done. And you could see he was starting to make some big progress throughout the course of the year, and having those two guys back out there playing together is something that we're all looking forward to seeing.
Well, you talked about two. Now let's go to Justin Buford.
Yeah.
He's a unique piece because he's not really great at anything, but he's good at a lot of things.
That's right. The thing is he is long, he's athletic, he's 6'6", he's got a good reach, big wingspan, he plays hard, and when you combine all those things with having a motor, that you get things done. And he's able to guard multiple positions. He's not a great shooter, but he makes some timely shots. He's not a high volume rebounder, but in some of the big games, he gets the ones that count. He's just one of those guys that good teams, championship level teams, have on their roster. And he's a great young man, a great teammate. He's never a down guy. He's got good energy. He's fun to coach.
Obviously, he's one of my favorites. He worked for us.
Yep.
And did a great job in his for his class. And so I want to put that out there. He was a student athlete.
Yeah, he's a worker. I like being around him.
Talk a little bit about Jacob Johnson.
Yeah, Jacob's a veteran, an older guy. He's from Minneapolis, spent a couple years at UMKC. Then he went to LIU Brooklyn, was here with us last year as a grad student. Another guy similar to Justin Buford, just 6'5". He's strong. He plays hard. He guards multiple spots. Just one of those guys that you like to be able to plug and play. He doesn't look out of position at the 4. He doesn't look like he doesn't know what he's doing at the 3. So he can get out there and make things happen using his size and athleticism.
Going to the big freshman from last year, sophomore.
Yeah.
To make that big leap, like some don't. And, big kids especially are tougher, I think, to see progression. So talk about Chris Loof and where he's at and where where are you projecting?
Man,
this
I
year?
thought he did such a great job also last year of handling an injury to a teammate at his position really well. Because all of a sudden you're a true freshman, and now you are thrown into knowing you're going to play night in and night out significant minutes. Because we just had Jared Coleman-Jones and Chris Loof last year at the 5 once Josh Agundale went down with a knee injury for the season. So there were games you could see his talent, what he was able to do out on the floor. At times you saw his youth, you saw his inexperience, but now he's not just a sophomore on paper. He got significant minutes last year as a true freshman. So now your off-season workouts look a little different because you know what you need to work on in order to be a high-level player out on that floor. So soon after the season was over, he was already talking about, I think I need to add about 10 or 12 pounds of muscle. I think, and he added about 12 to 15 last year. He came in at about 215. Now he's about 230. Wants to get up to about 240, 242. And the difference in those 8, 10, 12 pounds of muscle can pay off big dividends for him. And he's, sometimes you mentioned it's hard to project the progression of the bigs. To me, often a lot of bigs are made to play. Even when they're young, they're 8, 9, 10 years old, they're the tallest guy in their class, and some adult makes them play ball because they're tall. Nobody ever makes the shorter guys play. But all of a sudden you can make a taller guy have to play, and then nobody ever asks him if he even likes it. So for some of these guys, it's hard to project because now they're 20 years old, and they don't even like it. Nobody's ever asked them. They've just kind of gotten into a routine, and they just keep playing ball, but they don't play it because they love it. Chris Loof is not one of those guys. That's why you're starting to see him progress. He's got talent, he's got size, and he likes ball. And because of that, his productivity, his progression is going really well.
All right, next up, Torrey.
Yeah, Torrey
Red
Austin. He redshirted last year. Has gained about 15, 18 pounds of muscle. He's really athletic. Really athletic. Our fans going to like watching him play. He's going to be good in our presses. He is a live body. He just needed weight. He came in at 6'8", 180. Right now he's right at 200 pounds. I think he'll play at about 210, 212. If he really gets to 210, 212 with his length and athleticism, he's going to be a productive young man. He can really play up around the rim. He can go get balls up around the glass and up above that others just they don't play in that territory.
I thought late this was the most improved guy on your team for the year, Trey Green.
Yeah, Trey he just needed some regular minutes and some confidence. All of a sudden you're a freshman and you're getting spotty minutes. Then your sophomore year rolls around and you're still kind of getting spotty minutes. And now all of a sudden you start feeling like when I get in there, I got to make things happen in a hurry, or else I'm going to come back out. And then all of a sudden you could start to see you starting to get more comfortable that just play. You're going to go back in. You don't have to get the 4th, 5th, and 6th minutes right now by making 2 threes. Come out, catch your breath. You'll go back in, and you look at the second half of the season. The last 15 games of the year last year, TG shot 43% from 3. And that was a big change for those first 15 games. And I think a lot of that was just his comfort level, just starting to relax and play.
But I also thought, Nick, he took better shots.
That's what I mean. All of a sudden you can take better shots because you know that I'm going to play 15, 18, 20 minutes tonight. If you think if I don't, make one while I'm out here, this might be the only 4, 5, 6 minutes I get tonight, you can force some bad ones. But once you start to trust yourself, know that you're going to play night in and night out, you start to take better shots because of your comfort level.
So now we're going to shift gears. The all important transfer portal, which I hate, so that you can hear that, and because I'm looking down here.
It's half and half.
It's half and half.
It's half and half.
You're talking about these guys got a lot of minutes up here last year, and now you've got to blend in these other guys. You got a young man from Egypt, Issam Mustafa.
Yeah, he's going to be a load. Obviously we lost Jared Coleman-Jones at that position, so it's really important that we brought in somebody who we thought could be an impact player. Esam spent last year at TCU in the Big 12, but the previous 3 seasons at Coastal Carolina in the Sun Belt. We actually played against him several years ago when Coastal came to the Murphy Center. He had 19 and 10 against us, but that was also a season he averaged a double-double at Coastal Carolina out of the Sun Belt. So at 6'10", 250, I think he's a guy that is going to come in and be a really, really good player for us.
Next up, transfer from Louisville and Arizona State, Kamari Lands.
Yeah, Kamari Lands. He's from Indianapolis, Indiana.
You gotta love them Hoosiers.
Oh, I knew you'd like that.
You gotta love them.
I knew you would
you
like
already know
that.
it's gonna be my favorite.
Yeah, he's 6'7", 6'8", guard forward, can play multiple spots. Spent his first 2 years at 2 different leagues, 2 different teams at the Power 5 level at Louisville out of the ACC and Arizona State out of the Pac-12, and is a top. Some people had him as a top 50 player coming out of high school. So he's got size and talent, can shoot it, got good feel. Like I said, can play multiple spots. So he's another guy that you can kind of plug and play out there that you're not bringing in a rookie. He played 18, 19, 20 minutes a game at both of those places. So he wasn't just on the team there. I mean, he was averaging 5-6 points a game as a freshman and a sophomore in some very, very good leagues.
So how do you get him to be more productive than the 5-6 points, and that's not just more minutes, because I'm looking up and down this roster. You got some minutes problem coming.
Well, sometimes you do, and that's a better problem to have than the alternative. You want to be able to look down the bench and try to decide, do I put in this guy or this guy, not look down the bench and say, I'm not sure. Yeah, oops. So he's a guy that you look, and I'm not saying he's going to be one of these guys. You hope that he is. It'd be great if he was. But if you go back and kind of look at his size, his position, where he's coming from, and his productivity, and then go back and look at what Ja'Cory Williams do at Arkansas before he came. What was Nick King doing at Alabama and at Memphis before he came? What was C.J. Jones doing at Arkansas before he came? And you start looking at several of those guys and their production in those leagues, and then when they got here and their minutes just went up. What some guys, just need more minutes. It's not that there's a talent problem. It's just there are other guys at those programs that are getting the bulk of the minutes, just as good or maybe just a hair better. So hopefully, he can stay healthy and come in here and be an impact player, as obviously those men I just mentioned were huge impact guys.
So you get a local guy from the transfer portal from Lebanon, Jared Hall, 6'8", from Tulsa.
Yeah, we're glad to bring Jared back. We recruited him coming out of high school. Obviously had a terrific high school career playing for Jim McDowell up at Lebanon High School. Decided to attend Tulsa last year, and just wanted to come back home and play in a different style of game, but also be closer to home. I was, I guess, the same way when you're 18, 17, 18 years old. You're thinking I'm going to be my own man and get away from my family and mom and dad and start anew. And then all of a sudden you figure out, like, being close to mom and dad sounds pretty good, where they can come to the games and get a home cooked meal and do some laundry occasionally at the house. So we're glad Jared's back, and he's had some really good workouts. I'm excited about what I've seen from him in his first couple of, anytime you've got a guy that's 6'8" with that kind of body that can shoot it, those guys tend to find their way out on the floor. So I'm really excited he's back here.
Next up from IUPUI, Jalen Carter, 6'3".
Yeah, Jalen Carter played 2 years at IUPUI. He's a 6'3" combo guard, led their team in minutes, in points, in steals. So he's just another guy when you think about Cam Weston and Justin Porter in the backcourt, along with Jalen Carter. You've got multiple guys that can play both the 2 and the 1. Obviously, you hope that Cam Weston is out there playing the 1 the majority of the time, but he's going to have some foul trouble or sickness or something throughout the course of the year. And in the early part of the year, you just don't want to be so stressful on him in his body. You know, you don't want to put a man who's coming off of an ACL injury to have him play 38 minutes a night on night one. And so to be able to have Jalen, who's an experienced guard, out there with the rest of those guys will be important.
Yeah, next up, one of our longtime friends, his son's coming here to play. Perrin Oglesby, his son Alex, transferring from Stetson, 6'5".
Yeah, he can really shoot it. You know, you and
Coach's
I both
son.
have known his dad for a long time.
Long time.
His dad, Perrin Oglesby, was a high school coach in Western North Carolina at Irwin High School, right near UNC Asheville. And so I've known his dad for a long time, and didn't realize that until after our first phone call with Alec during the middle of the phone call that Perrin was his dad. Because, you know, as you said earlier, transfer portal recruiting goes quick. I mean, you see somebody in the portal you like, and it's time to pick up the phone immediately. You're not doing a
lot of research.
You do the research on the back end of that. That's right. So it was great to kind of reconnect with him. But his son is a 6'5" kid that can, I shouldn't say kid, he's a young man now, but can really shoot it. Is a hard worker, keeps his physical condition in top-notch shape. I mean, I think he could play tomorrow. He's in that kind of shape right now, but hard worker and can really shoot. And anytime you've got that kind of size and can shoot it like he can, those guys really help your team.
Well, we got one more guy to talk, and then we're going to take a break, Nick. Christian Folson, who has been here.
Yeah, Christian Fussell was here for 3 years, was a good player for us. Great young man, decided to transfer to UT Martin, had a coaching change at Martin. The coach is now the head coach at Mercer. So Christian put his name in the transfer portal. And because of the losses of both Jared Jones and Josh Agunale, two experienced centers, we knew we needed an experienced center in addition to Esam to bring in. And so we approached Fuss, and he wanted to come back. Enjoyed his time here in Murfreesboro and at Middle Tennessee. So I think anytime you can bring in somebody who's 6'10" and experienced, that's a good thing. But he's not just experienced, he's experienced with us. And so his ability to pick right back up on terminology, playing style, how to get to restaurants here in Murfreesboro has just made his transition back into our team pretty seamless.
All right, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back with head coach Nick McDevitt.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Hey guys, this is Scott. If you're often feeling tired, notice a lack of motivation and drive, or weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels, so don't wait to find out. At Low T Center, they make it quick and easy to get your levels checked. It's as simple as a blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get your results in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office either. It's concierge medicine for men, and their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with a customized treatment plan for each patient. If you need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy, shipping treatments directly to you without the need to come in for weekly visits. So get back to your best. Get to Low T Center to find out your testosterone levels. And right now at Low T Center, it's only $25 to get your testosterone level tested. You'll get your results in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Spring has sprung, and that means it's time to start planning for your summer road trips. With Bud's Tire Pros by your side, your vehicle will be ready to see the mountains, the beaches, and everything in between.
With Bud's Tire Pro's full line of Michelin tires and products, you'll have the peace of mind to hit the road no matter what you drive. Bud's Tire Pros is only 3.5 miles from the Murfreesboro Square. Call Bud's Tire Pros at 896-TIRE or online, Bud's Tire Pros, TN.com.
There are many reasons people select Adams Place.
We went to see 7 different places.
And he asked his kids,
okay, where do you think we should go? And the kids said, Adams Place. Why? The people looked active and they saw the pool, the only place that had a pool, and they had water aerobics. Turned out to be something I really, really enjoy.
I'm Terry Deal. Call me for more information about Adams Place, 1927 Memorial Boulevard, across from Walmart.
Call Adams Place today, 615-904-9111.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into WGNS, the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herzer, founder and president of First Shot. And, you know, it's kind of crazy, but 2 UNC Asheville grads, they led on the radio. I'm not sure how smart that was, Nick, but here we are. I've always said it's amazing how things come around. And for you, love that you're being here on this show, but talk a little bit about your preseason schedule, and then what you want to try to get out of it.
Yeah. Really a lot of things all at once. First, put together a schedule that both our players, our fans, our administrators, everybody it's attractive, it's fun. We'll continue to play like this year. We're still playing our annual series with both Belmont and Murray State. We've got to go back down to UAB. We've got most likely we are gonna play Evansville. That series started as a result of the tragic plane crash almost 50 years ago. They were traveling to play here at Middle Tennessee when their team plane went down, killing those on board. And for a long time, Evansville wore uniforms that had sleeves on them to kind of continue to bring awareness and commemorate that. We got together, and so we have decided to play a 4-year series, but one of those will be on the 50-year anniversary. They will come back to Murfreesboro. And so I'm glad we were able to put that together, because sometimes those things, for whatever reason, the details just don't make sense and you can't put it together. And so I'm glad we're going to be able to
it's really not that bad of a trip either when you really start. It's about a 3-hour
that's right
trip up to Penny Ryle. A lot of people,
you hear it, and because it's not one that our fans are used to, because we just haven't been in the same league, it sounds like it's a million miles away and 4 states away. But it's the same as getting down to UAB. And
well,
so
it's also a very good league.
Yep.
It's
Missouri Valley
League. It's you're playing now 3 teams out of the Missouri Valley, which has forever been a great league.
That's right. So that'll be a fun one. We're in another one of ESPN's MTEs. We'll be down in the Myrtle Beach Invitational again this year. I know that South Florida, Bradley, and Ohio and ourselves are 4 of the confirmed teams right now. They've given us, here are all the list of the others that we're talking to. But we'll be in that event again. The last time we were there, Villanova was there, Baylor, Mississippi State. But because of the change in the landscape, most of those teams are either playing like in the Maui Invitational, the Battle for Atlantis, or they're hosting their own. And it's in large part due to the net. Your non-conference schedule is getting increasingly more difficult at our level to put together. And the biggest reason is now, with such a large portion or such a big proportion of who gets into the NCAA tournament being put on the net.
Explain the net to the common person listening.
The net is now a tool that the NCAA committee uses to both seed teams but also put teams into the NCAA tournament. For a long time, it's the RPI. Now they still use the RPI, but it's predominantly the net. Well, the net puts more emphasis on your efficiencies. So what that really means is one team beating Team B by 10 and another team beating Team B by 50. There's more weight put on the team that won by 50. Also, what were your numbers? What were your shooting percentages? What were your turnovers? So what has now happened is the bigger schools have kind of started to manipulate that by saying we can play what is considered quad one games, which is like opponents. That's why you see, a lot of games, Michigan State versus Duke, North Carolina versus Kentucky, Tennessee versus Kansas. You see those kind of games because the loss doesn't kill you. Because it's against another quad one. Well, if you play quad fours, the bottom 40 or 50 teams in the country, your efficiency numbers are high. You win by a lot. Your shooting percentages are good. And the chances of them beating you are really, really low. So there are leagues that are saying to the teams in their league, not 100% of the time, but most of the time, you need to play quad ones and quad fours. And we're not in either one of those categories. So what gets harder and harder to do is find games because the quad fours are getting bought by the quad ones, and the quad ones don't want to play the Middle Tennessees or the UABs or the Western Kentuckys, because if you don't give them very many chances to get quality wins on their schedule, it's hard for the committee to put them in the NCAA tournament. So what the SEC commissioner, the ACC commissioner, those that in those kind of leagues, what they'll say is don't get down to the end where the committee's trying to decide Middle Tennessee or Mississippi State being in the NCAA tournament with that last at-large. How do we eliminate that? Don't put any quality win opportunities on their schedule. How do you do that? Don't play them. And that way the committee is going to have a hard time. We saw that this year with Indiana State. Didn't have a lot of opportunity to play the big boys, and they get left out. And they had a terrific team. And so that doesn't mean those games will never happen, but they're just fewer and far between. They're hard. You've got to rely on, relationships, the opportunity. Somebody's kind of in a little panic mode, and all of a sudden it can happen. And that's because of the payout, the money that comes from the men's basketball tournament. It's just different than scheduling in other sports. It has become a real challenge. Wes Long is my associate head coach and puts together our schedule, bring me some of the games. Man, it's a bear for him. I know that.
Well, talk about the rest of your schedule now, the league.
Well, that too is something we just discussed. We just had our spring meetings down in Destin, Florida. And so what does the future of league scheduling look like? Because we are adding Kennesaw State this year. So we will have an 18-game league schedule. Last year we had a 16-game. This year to be 18. What does 25-26 look like? Because we'll add Missouri State and Delaware. Do we keep it at 18? Do we go to 20? We could play a complete round robin, play the other 11 teams twice each. Well, now you've got a 22-game league schedule. Well, if non-conference scheduling is getting more and more difficult, does it make sense to play that many league games? So that's a possibility. So what you don't want to do is get yourself into 8 long-term contracts with other teams, and now you're going to have to cancel those because all of a sudden you could go in for our league in just a couple of years go from playing a 16-game non-conference or conference schedule to a 22. Now, I'm not saying we're definitely going to 22, but I don't think it'll be 18 next year. I do think it'll be either 20 or 22. So, you look at trying to put together a really attractive schedule this year and the year after and the year after, but at the same time, not knowing what the face of your own league is going to look like makes that even more challenging.
Adding the two teams, was it football driven or
no? I think
made sense?
I think a lot of things right now obviously are football driven, but at the same time, the addition of those teams, you're talking about Missouri State, their facilities, their tradition, you just don't want to put yourself in a spot where if you knew there was going to be no change, having 8, 9, 10 teams in your league, there's nothing wrong with that. But all of a sudden, with the continuing movement that you see and how college landscape continues to change, all of a sudden you lose 2 or 3 schools in your league and you get surprised. You could go from 8 to 5 or 6 in a hurry. We saw that a couple of years ago, and all of a sudden you can find yourself in scramble mode as a conference. And so the addition of those puts us back at 12. I don't know that we will go back to a split division, back to East and West. But that remains to be seen.
Well, Nick, when you start to look at your schedule overall in your league, how does anybody, you've got all these new players.
Yep.
How do they know?
Well, that's the thing is used to, and what I'm sure you experienced, Coach, was that you had a big portion of the following season schedule put together during the middle of the previous year's game schedule. Now, nobody's doing that. Everybody's trying to schedule games now. And the biggest reason is the transfer portal, because all of a sudden you don't know what's going to be on your roster, and I don't know what's going to be on your roster either. So I'm not sure I want to play this game. And so people are wait before they sign contracts to play games. And one of the biggest reasons is I want to know what I got on my roster before I agree to a game, but I also want to know who am I playing. And there's still guys out there that have nowhere to go. There are teams out there with 4, 5, 6, 7 scholarships. I saw just the other day Maryland Eastern Shore still has 11 scholarships to give. Now, they had a coaching change late, but at the same time, you think about we're in June and you've got 10-plus scholarships to give. So if somebody was playing Maryland Eastern Shore next season, you have no way of knowing what kind of team you're going to face. So that's the reason, one of the biggest reasons that people are putting together their schedule in men's basketball so late.
Well, I want to thank you for coming in. You give your kids a big hug from Coach Andy.
I will.
And we'll do this again real soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.